Thank you for watching here on YouTube at Blooming Light. If you're watching live, thank you for joining live. If you're watching later, just thank you for watching. If you're new to my channel, I invite you to check out the bio section. I also invite you to check out, I have well over 2,000 videos here. I also have links to the other platforms that I operate, okay? I do want to say, be careful out here in these here social media streets, okay? The common theme is you have impersonators out there that they make it their job to download different content creators' content, their pictures, so forth. Even their name angles, and they'll just transpose and, you know, turn some around just to trick people because they know that most humans aren't paying attention that closely. That most of us, we're just gonna glance and see that it's the picture. We ain't gonna think nothing else of it. So just be careful. What you need to know is that I don't initiate communication with my collective. I never initiate it, okay? The only thing that I've ever done is I would share a live. Like, let's say I was on TikTok and I would share a live, but I don't initiate communication. So if ever there's anybody reaching out under the guise of me, it ain't me, okay? I don't do that. And then I'm a very private person. So if I've met you or if I've dealt with you on a business level, just know that whatever original means in which you and I came to communicate, that's how it's going to be done. So just be aware, because I do have people that are trying to impersonate me. I do have people that are trying to create all kinds of confusion and issues for me. They have been infiltrating my life for years and, you know, sneaking around, going behind my back, inboxing people, DMing people, following anybody that I follow, any content creator that I share. I guarantee you they've stalked you. I guarantee you that they have contacted you. Now, they may not have revealed who they are, but I can guarantee you that they have. Okay, and that's just the nature of what I've been dealing with. That's how closely monitored that I am, and how I have people essentially just hoovering my life, both in social media and on foot. Okay, so be careful. Now, that's not what this live is about. The title says what they don't understand about targeted individuals. This train of thought came to me because I had to recently unpack my story, okay? And I had to talk about how it impacted my son and me in terms of just everyday life, just life responsibilities, duties, and things of that nature, okay? So in life, especially in the United States of America, okay, I don't know how it is in other countries. So in the United States of America, everything is based on a credit system, and everything is based on references and paper trails, okay? So essentially, no matter what you want to do in life, if you want to be able to purchase a home, a vehicle, an apartment, whatever you want to do, it is going to require, even getting jobs on some level, it's going to require a paper trail, references, rental history, a certain level of established credit. It doesn't have to be great credit, but I'm just saying that's required, right? Now, it doesn't sound that bad in general. For the targeted individual, a part of what they have had to do with their life is go no contact and cut everybody off. Okay? Once they discover that their life has been compromised, okay? Their life, their health and their well-being, and that of their children, their privacy. Once they discover, like, we don't have it figured out yet, but something has been compromised, and I don't yet know how far this goes. I don't yet know who the corporate is. I don't yet know how far and wide and deep this goes. So if they want to keep to the best of their ability people out as they're trying to start their lives over, it's almost like they have to put themselves in a witness protection program. Because as a targeted individual, every time you attempt to go to authorities, every time you mention these things to all these various entities, you're not taken seriously. It doesn't matter if you tell them, here, I filed this piece of paper, I made a complaint, the police station, whatever. They just don't really take you seriously, okay? On top of, your privacy being breached. If you're trying to get away from the possible threat to you using the references in which maybe you once would have used is not a good idea, because those references are connected to your what? It's connected to your past. Okay? So when the targeted individual is trying to restart their lives, trying to cut away at what is possibly hurting their life, they essentially don't have all of the required things in the United States of America, okay, to apply for certain things, to have certain things, even if they do have, let's say they have a moderate credit because they're not establishing anything. It's not just a matter of credit. It's a matter of the fact that they have to clean slate their life. And see, some people assume, because we all have our opinions, right? There are people who assume that, oh, it must be because they got jacked up credit. Usually what has happened is, if they do have it, at that phase of their journey, it's because of the people that have been infiltrating their life, that have been stealing their identity, doing things with their information, okay? Now, this is what people don't understand about the targeted individuals. So they begin to have to get creative, okay? Until you know where the threat is coming from. Because in the United States of America, once again, and this is something that needs to be brought way up, okay? Because again, for all intents and purposes, that's great. But if you're dealing with a survivor of being seriously, systematically targeted, then those rules do not apply. You're asking them to put their life in danger because of your need to be able to exploit their personal data and information, and your lack of integrity of being able to retain that information the way you take an oath to retain that information. People exploiting their positions. Okay, so it's asking the targeted individual to make themselves vulnerable just in the name of being able to take care of themselves properly. Okay, just in the name of, if they want to purchase a home, if they want to purchase a car, if they want to get an apartment, and some types of jobs, not all jobs, but depending on the type of job, some types of jobs, which means you need a what? Reference. You need what? A trail. You need the paper trail. You need the reference. You need the history. And what is the history connected to? Your past. And then, so what does that mean? That means that all of these various entities connect. And what if these entities are the problem? What if they're the ones violating the collective? What do you say of that? What do you do with that information? And that's something the United States of America don't want to look at or acknowledge. These very people that break laws or bend laws or get creative solutions for themselves then like to pigeonhole the target. That's a part of the coercive control to begin with. Let's make something absolutely challenging to where they are put up against the wall, to where they are forced to have to do this. And then let's use that then to say, let's come in and create a problem about that. When it was all manufactured. In criminal law, when people are put into witness protection programs in some serious cases and stuff like that, that we have seen, and they're actually literally put, okay, not that they put themselves on, they're literally put in these programs. These people are set up to do just that. They are stripped of all of their identity because this is putting them in a witness protection program. Okay, so they're given stuff to be clean slated. Okay, they're usually given options to go somewhere far or somewhere way different than where they ever were, where there's none of those connections. They're given a brand new identity. They're set up somewhere, so it's not like they're needing to figure all this out on their own. But here's my point about that. They are given the necessary resources in order to do that. So for them in that case, even though it's still horrific and horrible, okay, but in their case, they're given the necessary tools in order to be able to care for themselves without needing to put themselves in any further danger than what they already been. So while onlookers and outsiders who don't really have any knowledge or depth about this kind of stuff is unrelatable to them, they've lived a cushy life or a pampered life or a sheltered life, or they've never really had to struggle alone. In other words, even if they've had the struggle, they always had something, a John, a Jeanette, you know, some whoop, you know what I'm saying? Something whoop. Okay, so it's not relatable. Okay, so, and it's really easy to be a spectator when it's easy to sit back and kind of spectate and speculate on how something should be done and what's right and what's fair and all of that, when you have not had to, when you and your children have not had to be put in such situation. Now, and that is mistaken. Now, this is fascinating to me. That, about the targeted individual, this is something that becomes mistaken for criminality. Isn't it funny? How the criminals, because that's what, this is usually the ones that's making the evaluation, the ones that's violating you to begin with. Okay, them and the people that they're trying to convince that you're no good or you're up to something and you're sneaky and you're mysterious, and the targeted individuals have tried, you know, different methods in different areas and arenas that they have found themselves. They've tried. Okay, whether this is places they've moved to, people that they have tried to tell people, and this is where they have started learning these painful lessons. Okay, they tried to say, hey, look, me and my son, we've gone through a lot of serious traumatic events. Our family, you know, is toxic. It's a reason in which why I'm not dealing. Targeted individuals try that approach. This is how they gather and they learn that most of humanity just ain't getting it, or they're in on it. And since they gather that, they then decide Fuck what everybody's talking about. I have a divine birthright to not allow myself and my children to be victimized by this systematic attempt to control me, to push me into a corner and to have access to my life in order to bring more toxic energies, okay, or to do more shit with my personal shit, okay? And it's not that the targeted individual just wakes up to seek to be elusive, like that was their desire. But as they go on and they realize that there's something off and wrong, when they realize that something is wrong, something is eerie and off and wrong, and they need to figure it out. Because when they start to realize like they are not the problem, when they start to realize like it's not a matter of them just making a bunch of poor decisions and them being all, because they start to pick it up over time, like, no, this is something else, because I'm smart, nigga, fuck you. This is something else. I'm intelligent, I am tenacious, I am diligent, I'm all these things, but nigga, this is something else. And until I can put my finger on it, I have a right to preserve as much of my privacy as I can, because they start to realize how violated they have been. They start to realize how long and deep people have been following them around in social media and, you know, connecting with their people and playing with their information, especially your family members who have your information. They're the main ones, main characters, okay? That's been, okay, using your shit like it's their divine birthright to do, okay? So once the collective figures that out, they go, okay, enough. I'm gonna have to get creative. And they seek creative ways to exist. They seek creative ways to survive. And as a result, this is what they also don't tell people, as a result, they take a lot of loss. People look at the collective and target individuals like they got an easy peasy life, and that's the furthest thing from the truth ever. They do not have no easy peasy life. In fact, they have not had no easy peasy life possibly for most of their life. Okay, but people look at it, they think a collective of target individuals like easy peasy my ass. They have had to take hits and losses and live in minimum meager means that some people out here in these here streets, bitch, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If I were to tell you, some of the hardships that me and my son has lived in the last 3 years, okay, some of the conditions, some of the things, easy peasy my ass, cushy life my ass. People don't be knowing your story, sleeping on the floor, sleeping on bug-infested fucking mattresses and you know what I'm saying, ran down places and, you know, one pot and pan and, you know what I'm saying, secondhand shit and, you know what I'm saying, easy peasy my ass. no privacy, constraints, restricted to only be able to go out during the day because it's country bumpkin ass town, don't got shit past a certain hour. People don't know. And the so-called hospitable Southern motherfuckers full of shit. Be in on some of the shit. So the collect easy peasy my ass. Which makes it's annoying because it's like, so there's this thing where the collective they're supposed to be assigned to suffrage. That's the only way to make everybody else feel better. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Meanwhile, bitches and niggas can't fucking handle shit out here in these here streets. Can't handle nothing. If they were put in these same situations, every last one of most of these motherfuckers will be crying like a bitch. Telling you right now, cold truth, nigga. Cold truth. I don't care how big and bad and tough they be acting, but I'm telling you something. If they didn't have no John or no Jeanette to fucking rescue them, bitch, nigga, if they didn't have, yeah, they would not. They would be crying like a bitch. Okay? While they're sitting here speculating and putting judgment onto the collective like they got some easy peasy life. They can't even get to the store on their own. They gotta have somebody, bitch, nigga, please. And then people gather these opinions. It's like, you know, I don't trust them, and you know, why they, you know, whoop-de-woo. And let me tell you, I'm gonna say this for the masses. It's if you're an onlooker, hear me and hear me. It ain't none of your business. Okay, I'm gonna say it for the masses. I want the masses of the world to hear what the hell I'm saying. Understand me? It ain't none of your goddamn business. It ain't. You and your assumptions, you could take and put it up your bum. Once again, what people don't tell folks about the targeted individuals is all of these energies, these personalities, these people's entitlement to know shit. While at the same time have the audacity to feel some kind of way about their own particular privacy being violated, or someone being a little bit too deep in a business. So the targeted individual simply, they stop. They realize, like, I'm not getting ready to over-explain myself anymore. If people don't trust me, they don't trust me. Because if I haven't done nothing to them personally, you know what I'm saying, in whatever kind of dialogue and things that we have, you know, and they're not able to have proper discernment and judgment on that alone, then that's a them problem. I'm not obligated, especially for people that they themselves are not fully forthcoming. They're not telling you all their business. You're not inquiring. You know, the targeted individual don't be inquiring like that. They just try to show themselves to be friendly. Okay, that's what they typically start, but they don't really inquire much. They don't pry, you know, and that's a level of maturity that they have. But individuals do not know how to reciprocate that. There's an entitlement. I wonder what they got going on. I wonder how they get this and how they get that. And I wonder, whoa, why do you care? Why is that an issue for you? Why is that any of your business at all? Because you may be misjudging anyway. See, humans are very assumptuous. You may be misjudging. I've had people do that to me for years. And not that I've ever owed anybody no explanation, but I think I had told stories last year, you know, because I can decorate and make places look nice and so forth. And there will be an assumption that, okay, maybe there was a lot of money spent or something. And it's an assumption. For all people know, stuff was given to me. For all people know, stuff was found, because I definitely have a knack for finding quality shit at thrift stores. Okay? So, but again, once again, an assumption. It must be nice. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Now, these be the same people always looking for the hookup, holla if you hear me. Always looking for the hookup, holla if you hear me. And if they can find a hookup that they benefit from, they not singing that same song. When it's them, you know what I'm saying? And if somebody got something to say about, I wonder how they driving that car. Don't worry about it. It ain't none of your business how I'm driving in that car. You see what I'm saying? Double standards. And hypocrisy. Because they use their homegirls' kids on their taxes. You know what I'm saying? Whoa. You know, whatever. Because the targeted collective is like, I really can care less. It ain't my business. It ain't my business how you got what you got. If it don't have nothing directly to do with me, it ain't. It ain't my business. If it don't have nothing to do with directly to violation to me and my children and something serious and sick and perverse, it's not my business. That's your life. Okay? So their lives, I'm not saying this to break out the violin. I'm saying that while the world is trying to determine whether or not the targeted individuals were lazy, mentally disturbed, fickle, flighty, while they're in all of these assumptions, they have no knowledge the fact that these people's lives have been utterly compromised and sabotaged, and they have had to live in meager means in which most people are not happening to live in. So it's easy to be a spectator in that respect. Well, you know, they just need to this and they should have that. Niggas, you a target, nigga. You got motherfuckers on your life, you and your kids' life, planning your energy, stealing your shit, sabotaging your movement, moving behind your back, violating your privacy. You know what I'm saying? Making things difficult on purpose. Infiltrating your life. Then shut up. Because you do not have a point of reference of how to navigate and live in such conditions. You have people trying to unaliven you? Have you had people trying to poison you under the guise of Nurse Ratchet, under the guise of so-called helping and supporting you? Have you had that? If not, shut up. You don't have a point of reference. Don't give me that shit. Well, I suffered domestic violence. And all domestic violence is not created equal. Have you had people utterly trying to sabotage your existence, bitch? You and your children. No matter which direction you turn. If not, shut up. You don't have a point of reference. Once again, it's easy to be a spectator. It's easy, in theory, to sit back with a piece of paper, a laptop, some steps, 1, 2, and 3 processes, and you know, when that ain't you, when you ain't gotta live that shit. When you don't have to see firsthand, this shit ain't linear. Because if you're being actively, systematically sabotaged, this means that your efforts are going to be thwarted. This means that there's going to be energy behind the scene undermining you. So, meaning it's not going to be a matter of if you're focused or not. A matter of if you're putting in enough energy into something or not, or whether or not you're skilled in something enough or not, whether or not you have good intentions or not, whether or not you're doing the right, trying to do something properly or not. In some cases, the targeted individuals have learned that their desire to do things properly has been used against them too. Their desire to be forthcoming, their desire to be upstanding, and all of those things, because of how corrupt these systems are and how infiltrated their lives have become, that this full disclosure and this desire to be on an up and up is used against them. Because here again, in the United States of America, it's all about paper trail and documentation. It's all about having a history, a rental history, references, parts of the past in order to verify your validity. But if the problem is that person's past that they are trying to do away with, that is hell bent on being a problem for them, do you all not yet see what I'm saying? It's no different than, you know, in the case of, if you want to go corporate, and let's say you have a job or a career in corporate, and let's say your leadership, you have a problem with your leadership, or they have a problem with you, or there's some competition and jealousy and some other things, right? You're basically done in that scenario. Because the way the systems are set up, you will be continually guided to deal with that person. And the system is not taking into account that there may be corruption right here, and they're going to use this communication to either clean up their messes to their advantage, in fact, to even get rid of the person. So it's broken already. It is not really designed for any true healthy resolve or growth in that respect. So if somebody's past, if that's their energy, that's going to play out the same way. If these people are coming into cahoots and partnerships and stuff with the targeted individual's family, their ex-lovers, their ex-bosses, co-workers, people that, a bunch of motherfuckers that's got an issue with them. because the collective goes no contact at some point and leaves everyone alone and cease to have any involvement, and they start to tell their truth. This is a part of the problem, and this is why they get the sabotage. This is why they start the smear campaign, crazy making, the spell work, sabotaging, because they need to put all of that in place to convince the world that this person is imagining things, they're just unstable, they're just all of these things. The targeted individual accepts that that's the playing ground, that's the playing field that they're on, and they do what they have to do. They cease to try to make people understand. They cease to try to explain. They cease to try, because they realize, like, no, these are people that's already pre-programmed not to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my energy, I'm call forth my energy, I'm going to focus. I'm going to still try to be a good citizen. I'm not out here trying to be a low life the way these people are essentially being low lives. So the targeted individuals say, okay, I'm going to do what I have to do. Okay, they get real smart. This is how it happens. They accept that they themselves are dealing with criminality, that they themselves are dealing with criminal acts and offenses towards them, that they themselves are dealing with sophisticated levels of manipulation. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that you don't give your killer the blueprint to your life willingly, easily. It doesn't take a genius to discover that, hey, this is your enemy, this is your op. Minimum interaction, minimum information as virtually possible. Okay, because they have ill will towards you. They have hidden dishonor. They have an agenda. As you all are coming in, I think the thumbnail says the Salem witch hunt or something, the Salem trials, the witch trials or something like that. And the reason why I chose that, because in some cases, that's a part of what's happening. Okay, people and radicals in their religiosity, even though they fucked up people, because I'll put this on the record officially, even though a lot of them be fucked up people doing fucked up things for a Walmart gift card. Okay? But they still do claim their religiosity. And so for the fact that the collectives are spiritual and aren't into the same things, then it becomes the witch trials. Then it becomes this, thing of the Salem witch. It becomes that type of energy. Same ignorance. We're just in 2025. Ain't much changed. Okay? Instead of pitchforks and fucking, torches, it's cars and horns, bitch, and iPhones. That's it. And so there are people, the collective starts to accept that they have subsectors of groups that are after them for various reasons, no matter how criminal, cruel, and delusional it is. So they decide, fuck that. That's what they own. So I will be disclosing as minimum information as possible. That is the targeted individual. This is their operation. They accept what they're dealing with and they adjust accordingly, which means I am not obligated to hand myself over to my murderer. I am not obligated to make their job easier. Because that's essentially what they're trying to force. If they can restrict that coercive control, if they can restrict, then the collective is forced to have to share certain information. They're forced to, that's why they try to put them in restrictive environments so that they can control and dictate and monitor. And when they start to lose the grip of some of that, when that control factor starts to unravel and loosen, they get in terror, and then they start to amplify what they're doing, because now the collective is not restricted to only be able to leave during the day because they're in a country bumpkin ass town that ain't got shit. Okay? They're not limited to Southeast Texas Department of Transportation because so when all of these things start to change, where there's more broadness, then they have to bring in more crazy motherfuckers. They have to bring in more radicals. They have to bring in more people that are now in that space and place in order to try to circle about and control or figure out what's going on. And since the targeted collective knows that, they're smart. Because see, it is what it is. As they continue to transition, what they're doing is they're just learning as they go and adapting and making adjustments, and it's in their favor. So now, everybody's on candid camera. And guess what? It's legal. See, what they don't anticipate is the collective being able to discover that. So in this case, then it works, all of this stuff starts to work for them now. Whereas before, it was kind of like, oh my God, and this noise. Before that was the vibe, whereas now it's like, very well, I'm gonna actually take out time of my day, daily, to give them a show. And it will be recorded. And how does that work for the targeted individual, you say? So the targeted individuals that are taking it to law. So if they're using something that is appropriate and approved, because it has to be appropriate and it has to be approved, if they are using something that is court approved, law approved, then these are some of the people that will possibly be called in for questioning as those license plates are pulled, as those names are given. So the people's obsessions helps the collective at this point to gather what they need. Especially because now they put themselves in a position to be able to sit up and watch. To pick up pattern recognition, to pick up repetitive vehicles, to pick up all of them. They're in a position to where now they can do that. well as on foot. See, it's on now. It's on now. It's on now. Because see, people think that, well, they don't know who we are. They're not going to recognize. Wrong. It's called studying people. CIA trained you for that shit.
You forgot, Mom.
So they're trusting their intuition and their gut, and they're studying pattern recognition. They're studying, oh, is this crazy, retarded bitch? Okay, let me see something. Let me say something. I'm gonna chill. Let's see. So as the collective move about in certain spaces, whether they go into stores, you know, whatever it is that they're doing, I promise you, they're watching. So they pay attention. Let's see if I go over here. Are they going to weasel their way over here in a few minutes, pretend like they're looking at something? Yep, da, da. And then they go over there. Collective, the target individual says, this could be a fluke. Wait. They keep moving about, go way on another side, somewhere else, way or something, and then they gauge it. Let's see if the crazy motherfucker find their way over here in the next few minutes again. Okay, 2 times, all right. We don't have a pattern yet. This still may be a coinkydink. Wait. They go somewhere again, cross, mix it up. They go somewhere up again. Give it a few minutes. Let's see if the retarded hoe come over here in a few minutes. Here again, 3 times. Pattern. Gotcha, bitch. You are on candid camera. Court approved. And this is for their ease of mind. This is for, you know, because some of these court-approved things is connected. It's all connected. They get instant access, and I'm assuming they might be able to connect with law as they're monitoring when you're monitoring, because you're going on live. So that's the way the targeted individual has to operate. So yes, they move in silence. Yes, they are mysterious. Yes, they're not disclosing much. Yes, their priority is them and their children's health and well-being and safety at all costs, not people's nosiness and wanting to exploit their personal information. When they know, especially social media content creators, that they have a lot of enemies, a lot of haters, a lot of people that are jealous, a lot of people that want what they have. When they realize, and whether you like this or not, this is happening. You got to gauge your life accordingly until you are able to navigate out of these situations. And I still dare to say, I believe that a targeted individual on some level, it may not be as intense, but I believe that on some level they have to have that kind of awareness, because it follows. Unless they can totally change their identity altogether. You know what I'm saying? It follows. But it also, as we file these reports and as we go to court and as we do these things, I believe that it's going to help minimize some of the stuff, not all of it. I believe that it'll start chipping away, you know, because you have groups of crackheads that don't have nothing to live for. So, you know, it's like, shit, fuck it. You know, If I go to jail, I go to jail. Nigga said, at least I ain't got to pay rent. You know, you got, you got, you know, you're going to always have somebody that ain't got nothing to lose, that don't care nothing about, you know, getting in trouble or getting caught and all that stuff. Okay? But there are going to be some folks at some point that catches on and they're not really interested in putting their personal life and their family and their children and their well-being and all of their stuff at stake in the name of being on some weird nigga bitch shit. Whether that's a Walmart gift card, whether that's some inheritance, somebody is willing to offer them to stalk you and harass you, you know, whatever. There's some people that's gonna get some sense and say, hey, I'm really not prepared for this. Okay? You know, I got children, grandchildren, okay? You know, we ain't doing that. You know, I got a career. I have something at stake here. Thank you, you know, for your offer of $10,000 that possibly I was never going to get anyway, because that's all a trick and a trap. Thank you. I ain't ready to die for this shit, though. I ain't ready to die, bitch. I'm not ready to, I ain't ready to have my kids cursed this and me cursed and shit, bitch, because hell no. Some people gonna get a clue. And some people aren't. And those are the ones I'm interested in. And as I was thinking about this, you know, as I had to recently go through a lot of my stuff to prepare for the things that I'm doing in the background, I sat there and I was like, wow. I was like, and you know what? Nobody looks at how this impacts these people's lives, these targeted individuals. Nobody looks at that. Nobody cares. They're not seeing how, you know, whether they were scapegoated to take the fall from some for real organized criminals and they were just the face of some shit when they was a teeny bopper, to, you know what I'm saying, people putting hits out on their head because somebody decided to steal an inheritance or some shit, bitch, and the cover up, bitch, is, you know what I'm saying, all of these things that impact their health and well-being, their livelihood, people, again, stalking, stealing, trying to prevent them, all of these collective things. Nobody's looking at that. And I'm wanna be one of many that push this thing as far as we can, for as long as we got to. Until enough feathers have been ruffled, till we have enough folks' attention to motherfuckers, to some shiznit. See, that's what I'm on. I'm like, okay. Okay. However long it's gonna take. To make the world accountable. However long it's gonna take. To make the world see the injustices at all of these people's lives and their children, which everybody seems to think them and theirs are so much better than and privileged too, which baffles me. Picking and choosing who deserves and shit like that is some sick shit, and I have every full intention on pushing all of this shit far, bitch. It's some sick, perverse shit. Oh, okay, so you wanted to override somebody's will and testament. They were being guided by their ancestors because they knew that this person would be in some kind of struggle or was suffering injustices, and this would have helped them and their children to not have to go to some goddamn country bumpkin ass, racist ass, primitive ass, Fred Flintstone, Pleasantville, Truman's Show bitch shit. all of these things, the corrupt lawyers, the corrupt judges, the corrupt notaries, all of this types of stuff is coming out and is going to be dealt with. The level of sickness that these people operate in for money, these people's greed and these people's entitlement. And then got the nerve to have a judgment on the collective. Shut the fuck up. You thieving whore. Shut the fuck up. Child. We gonna push this. Huh? The fact that you have to do all of these things collectively, it gave me opportunity. I've been put in position here recently to really be able to take some time and look at a lot of stuff. The fact that you even have to be doing punitive damages. The fact that that's something that you have to incorporate in your life because you got this many crazy retards all up in your peripheral. Huh? Because you got motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, trying to poison you. You got fucking weirdo driver bitches and niggas and shit and whoop. Punitive damages. Opportunities that you could have missed out on because, again, while you're trying to do life, you're still trying to take care of yourself and your children. And as you're aging, you're dealing with whatever your aging process is on top of the stressors and the things that have been put on you and your children. Punitive damages. Inhumane, inhabitable living situations. Punitive damages. People stealing your mail, lying about it, punitive damages. People putting shit in your food because they fucked this nigga or this bitch and ate a homie of this motherfucker, punitive damages. Because they stalk you on social media, constantly reporting your videos, stealing your videos, trying to make sure that people don't want to work with you, and punitive damages. Because you had to uproot your life and constantly feeling the need to flee because people won't leave you alone. Punitive damages. Violating your privacy, your children's privacy, under the guise of standard landlord business or maintenance and one thing and another, punitive damages. Using residents around you and your children in order to report and monitor punitive damages. People hacking into your technology, hacking your internet, hacking your phone, hacking your personal accounts, punitive damages. See, it's he and ha for these people as they're getting away with all of this stuff, at least so it seems, for a season. It's he and ha with the thought that they're able to irritate you and frustrate you and trying to bully you and terrorize you and your children. It's he and ha until that ass is on their ass. until they making front page news, and not in a good way. Until motherfuckers start dropping like flies. It's all fun and games until then. It's he, and ha. Punitive damages for the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial anguish, for harassment, for attempted murder, for coercive control, for intrusion into your rights and your children's rights, for manipulating positions and titles of power and authority, for abuse of government programs for one's own nefarious reasons. For trying to bully the collective because they have self-respect and they have the audacity to tell what people do to them. The targeted individuals did not take it upon their life's journey to go about telling everything about everybody else based on their own personal life's decisions. Oh, I want to go expose this person because, you know what I'm saying, they're a whore, they're a crackhead, they're a drunkard, they're a gambler, you know, whatever it is. So it's my job and it's my business to infiltrate them and expose them and tell the world. That's not what the collective did. Because that's not their business. The exposures that happen is because these people personally violated them. That is what that is. They personally abused and violated them and their children, and they have every full right to speak on that. They have every full right to speak on people's conduct with them. So if somebody was acting shady towards them, or there was some kind of shady business and ways in how they were operating with the collective has a right to speak on that. Only narcs, sociopaths, psychopaths, and abusers have a problem with that. People who got God complexes. How dare you speak of how I actually treated you and your children? So I'm going to passively, aggressively punish you by attempting to make your life hard via the niggas and bitches that I done fucked across the state of Texas. Via my connections to teach you a lesson about speaking up against me, to teach you a lesson about putting up a boundary with me, to teach you a lesson about cutting me off, to teach you a lesson of, you know, getting away from my strong arm grip of where I wanted you to be and where I wanted you to live and how I wanted you to live and what I felt you and your children should have. Even now, I want punitive damages for every ounce of pain and suffering me and my son has endured. Every bit, and I mean every millisecond of injustice. Every time somebody doing spell work, every time somebody doing dream infiltration, every time somebody conjuring and sending some raggedy shit that me and my team have to fucking chin check, bitch, at some point, motherfucker. Every time somebody look at us with the evil eye, I require punitive damages. I'm putting judgment on everything because I am done. I don't have time for people and their narrow-mindedness. I do not have time for people that's happiness haters, whatever the fuck. I don't care anymore because me and my son, we do not seek to harm and bother anybody, but people have felt entitled to our energy, and people have also have intruded in our energy, and I'm gonna make them pay for that. I require full punitive damages. Every time people are siphoning off of him and me, benefiting off of us, trying to force their way into our energy, doing some weird bitch shit, and every time I'm putting stank on it. Add some more, add some more. Every waking hour and moment and millisecond, even the slightest bit of foul shit. And I don't even care that it don't hit us the way these people want. It don't matter to me. For me, the simple fact that if we gotta feel it at all, nigga, if we have to be inconvenienced even the least bit, I require triple time over punitive damages. Keep your eyes off of me and him if you're smart, if you have a problem with me. Keep your damn mouth shut if you have a problem with him and me. Stay far the fuck away and out of our way if you have a problem with him and me, if you know what's good for you. Because those punitive damages is going to have different kind of manifestations. I do not have time no more. Ranging from my so-called relatives and they weird motherfuckers, whoever the fuck on their team, bitch, as well as nigga, black ops, nigga, as well as radicals, bitch, nigga, exes. I don't have time. If you on some foul shit with me, I highly recommend you get your house in order. Because I'm not playing. These people are on vengeance trips. Like I said, these people have vengeance against the collective because we told the truth about people's abusive ways towards us. And we don't want nothing to do with them. That's the bottom line. They're on vengeance trips because of their delusion. They think they're on some kind of a destiny, you know, army of the Lord shit. Don't know what the fuck they're doing. Crazy killers, but they think they're on some kind of divine path. Every time somebody passed my son's apartment, every time they drive past it, every time they're parked in the damn parking lot, I mean business, so I'm letting it be known officially. If you are prepared to lose everything you got, then have at it. Have fun. Just know you are being watched, even more so than you're watching me. If you people have a problem with who I am, that you have a full right to your opinion in life. What may cost you is allowing your opinion of me to get you in some crazy energy, getting you to do some things that you will regret. Because I'm not coming for you, but if you come for me, yeah. So to all my stalkers, my social media stalkers that's pretending to not watch me on social media, consider yourself told. You don't even have to watch me. If you're a grown bitch and a grown nigga, then you should know how to swipe off of some shit. Okay? If you don't like me, you don't like who I am, you don't like what I'm about, you don't like what I teach, you don't like what I do, you don't like what I believe, you don't like me because of who was your homie, because you fucked the nigga I was with, or you his family, or his baby, somebody, very well. You don't have to. Stay away though. Understand? Stay away. I don't need your approval. Just like you don't need mine. That's what'll serve you. Okay? Teaming up with lowlives to fuck with me and my son in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you will regret, and that is not a threat. All you have to do is ask some people. Okay?